Cycling is changing at a fever pitch. Innovation fueled by technology is taking the sport into a performance-oriented direction faster than I've ever seen in the past. The influence from racing has always been there, but its grab and its reach is much more powerful because of access and the trickle down of technology. And then there's the influence coming out of the Asian market, which is affecting through social media, guys like myself, how we fine tune and upgrade our bikes. I'm talking about like what's happened with wheel sets, crank sets, handlebars, group sets, not quite yet, but I don't think they're far off. And then we have all these new cyclists who come into the sport more focused, fitter, and with greater resources than what happened in the past. And manufacturers know this. So all of those issues makes the whole concept of recommending a bike a much more complicated one. It used to be very easy for me if somebody said, Lewis, I think I want to try cycling. I'd say, what do you want to get out of it? And they're like, well, I just want to be outdoors, a little bit of fitness, you know. I'd say, get yourself a hybrid. If they said, I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it, but I want to ride a bike, I'd say, get yourself a hybrid until you figure it out. If they said, hey, I think I want to do what I think you're doing, which is these fast group rides that look so cool, I get stuck in, I want to do 50 or 100 miles, my answer used to be simple. Get yourself a Cannondale Cat 10. Make sure it has at least Shimano 105. You're going to be golden. Man, these days, the answer to that question is so much more nuanced because there is no industry representative hybrid, and likewise, there's no industry representative entry-level performance bike. So what do I tell people these days? Well, to the people who just want to get outside and do fitness, man, we've got endurance bikes, we've got gravel bikes, we've got all-road bikes. It becomes complex. To the guys who want to do what they perceive to be performance, pretty much every manufacturer has an industry representative performance bike. There are very few factories that are banging out bikes these days. There's some nuanced differences in terms of performance, trim, and aesthetics, but you could literally throw a blanket over the whole lot and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference riding them blindfolded. The fact is, when I see what's coming and I speak to people in the industry, you can kind of like tell that the point of influence is beginning to tip. And sadly, something like this very capable steel frame with rim brakes and mechanical shifting for all its capabilities isn't going to receive the type of sustainable innovation that it deserves to grow and be able to compete. Yeah, it's sad, but these types of bikes are going to be relegated to somewhat of a romantic notion. And then when you couple that with the idea that technicians who can properly tune a mechanical front derailleur and a mechanical rear derailleur, they're going to kind of age out, replaced by somebody who knows how to properly operate the app. That's a head scratcher. But I'm going to continue to enjoy my rim brake steel frame bikes with mechanical shifting. You can bet on that. But there's no getting around carbon's ease of manufacturing is overwhelming the market and will continue to do so. It is even obvious to steel heads like myself. Materials like steel and to some extent titanium and aluminum aren't even going to be a consideration for the new performance enthusiast. Not even close. Why? For all the reasons I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Titanium may stand a chance if it is marketed differently, but steel, like I said, is going to be a special and a very rare case that you see those bikes being manufactured. I think aluminum is going to be pushed even further down market. Now, despite my understanding of what rides and feels best, if I were to build a bike out, I'd have to make a little bit of a compromise based on what I just mentioned, but also based on where I know the innovation is going. Because see, I have conversations with manufacturers all of the time, and they have a very keen understanding of who the new cycling enthusiast is, the resources that they have, and how they're going to spend their money, and what form of marketing is going to be effective in getting them to spend their dollars. But if you were to say, all right, Lewis, well, what's your magic formula? Well, my ultimate bike would be with a steel frame weighing in right around 1,600 to 1,800 grams. I'd want a custom geometry, something based on the Colnago V3 RS.
I would want something obviously with a carbon fork and disc brakes. And the reason why is because I know that the innovation in terms of wheels and technology is in the area of disc brakes, not rim brakes, and some form of electronic shifting, because again, that's where the innovation is going. That's not only what I believe is best for me based on my understanding and my use of the sport. I think that's the formula that would be best for the vast majority of cyclists. And when I say the vast majority of cyclists, I'm talking about upwards of about 70 to 80% of cyclists. Very few people race, very few people need a carbon frame, and very few people can actually extract the performance that a carbon frame is designed to provide. One of the limitations or one of the problems that I have with carbon frames is that they age out fairly quickly. Every couple of years, the aesthetics starts to fade a little bit. You don't get that stuff with some of the more timeless design from steel and titanium. But that's simply the reality of it. I think it's quite a sad commentary to consider that the vast majority of cyclists today will never ride steel, and I mean never, and they'll never ride mechanical shifting, and they'll never ride a rim brake bike. Daggum. And those aren't even really geese. Those are fake geese. We actually do get real geese around here. In terms of the weather, I don't know what to tell you. It's Florida, but it'll pass.
In an ideal world, a steel frame bike with modern support system would be my go-to answer for someone new seeking entry-level performance that they could eventually upgrade. But I think the cost, ready availability, and challenge in acquisition would be too great of a deterrent. But I also don't think they would hear me past the noise, the marketing, and the flash. Not only is it more durable in function and aesthetics, it would deliver a better ride feel and more than enough performance. But if the industry continues to have its way, new cyclists will continue showing up on race bikes, tarmacs, dogmas, air roads, and the like. For reference, I consider anyone riding less than 18 months to be fairly new. Now, do I think there's anything wrong with that formula that the industry is pressing? Inherently, no. If the hype is getting more people on bikes, I'm all for it. Newbies on hot bikes is not something that we gatekeep. Rather than eye-rolling, let's welcome them and help them. OGs that know the secret sauce of mechanical shifting and rim brakes ought not shun this. It is inevitable. Yes, we that are in the know are aware of the simplicity and the joy of the aforementioned steel frame, rim brake, mech shifting, but let's not damage someone's joy just because we are right. I went for a quick spin with my friend Michelle to try to consolidate this topic. Michelle has been an avid cyclist for 7 years, coming from a running background. She came into the sport fit, determined, and with good resources. In other words, the perfect demographic the industry is targeting. But let's see what her experience is with what I would call old school tech. Michelle, have you ever ridden a steel frame bike?
No.
Have you ever ridden a bike with mechanical shifting?
Yes. Though I will tell you it's hard.
Have you ever ridden a bike with rim brakes?
Yes. Hate it.
You hated it?
Hate it.
Wow.
Hate brakes. Did not feel confident in my stopping ability with rim brakes.
Because you started on discs, right?
Yeah. I started on DI2 and disc brakes, so it's kind of hard. First time I got on a bike with mechanical shifting, I was shifting in the wrong direction. Like, why is this so much harder to pedal? It should be easier.
So we get to mourn for these guys' experience.
All right, guys, that's it for me and this all-encompassing topic. I know I said a lot, but it's the kind of stuff that I really like to talk about. And I know that just based on the engagement that I have with you guys in the comment section, a lot of people are kind of interested in this topic. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share my views on it. But as always, please jump into the comment section. Let your voices be heard. I'm really curious to know what you think about the current trends of the industry. Do you think it's good or it's bad that we're moving towards this formula with carbon frames, disc brakes, electronic shifting? Well, not moving, but definitely consolidating it is really the right words. Or do you feel something, a little bit of a twinge in your heart about the notion that, yeah, we're definitely not going to see some kind of steel frame, metal frame come back? Rim brakes are done, dude. So it's like I said, I'm a lover of rim brakes, and I know it's getting to the point where it's going to be kind of like a romantic notion. And mechanical shifting, as good as it is. And that's why for me, I'm grateful for the experiences and the bikes that I have. My plan is not to let go of, well, all of them anytime soon. All right, guys, thanks for the engagement. Hey, listen, everybody who's watching the channel and supporting us from Trinidad, man, I appreciate you guys. I hear word about, you know, some of the stuff that we're doing on the channel that you guys appreciate. I appreciate you guys back. As always, our aim here is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed. Big up Trinidad.